game had the best ratings ever for a college game. I mean, not only did you have two 14-0 teams, you had two back-to-back number one picks, and what was supposed to be a pretty good game, and it was fairly close.
Man, it was kind of a weird game.
Yeah.
So early on, I was like, ooh, defensive battle.
Yep.
And then I was like, oh, we're going full shootout. And then there was just a huge offensive lull for like the whole third quarter.
Yep.
So a really weird game.
You know what the over-under was?
60-something?
67.5.
And
you know
hit
how many
67,
67.
God dang, how do they do that?
That's insane.
Like, honestly, how do they do that?
I have no idea.
And why has no one else been able to replicate
Right.
what they've done to just be able to beat them at their own game?
Yep.
Also, the fact that, like, their goal isn't necessarily to get it perfect.
Yeah.
Their goal is to get equal money on both sides. So does that mean that, like human influence somehow changes these things?
Bettors are actually the smart ones?
Yeah, or just like somehow it balances out to whatever's going to happen based on what the half the world thinks.
Right.
I don't know. Maybe I'm getting too deep.
For a Tuesday morning.
Trevor Lawrence, man. I mean, it's not like that you should be down on him all of a sudden because he had one bad game in his career.
Yeah, literally first loss.
Yeah, first loss of his entire college life. But man, it didn't look good.
No.
Didn't look good at all.
No.
It's weird. I've never felt this. Maybe I've seen it before, but I don't remember it. In baseball, you'll talk about a pitcher overstriding, right? They're stepping too far, which is throwing off their mechanics and making them wild.
Yep.
You talk about it a lot in baseball. You can see it, first inning, oh, he's overstriding. Pitching coach comes out. They talk about it. He tries to figure it out.
Yep.
That's what it looked like Trevor Lawrence was doing. He was stepping too hard into his throws, I thought, which was throwing off. He was actually losing power because of that. And like the throw, when he had that dude coming across the middle, he skipped it like 8 yards short. There was that. Then I think he overthrew his receivers 11 times.
Yeah, I was getting literally every time I thought, okay, he's going to get back on track. Clemson's going to pull within, especially in the third quarter when there was that offensive lull. It was, I mean, on third downs, he was literally like throwing the ball 10 yards above guys out of bounds. I was like, is this really the guy that had like near perfect quarterback rating for like 5 straight weeks this season?
Yeah, it was weird. And it didn't, like, pressure was a part of it, but it wasn't all of it. So, I don't know. Obviously, he's going to have a whole year to bounce back now.
Now, do you think all the talks of him sitting out next year are going to go away?
Probably. Yeah, I mean, yeah. He's got to go back. They're now the favorites. I was actually kind of hoping that for some reason, like, the world will be low on them. I was like, oh, I'm gonna come in on Clemson. That's gonna be my big take of the year. And then I realized they're 2-1 favorites to win the national championship next year.
So people aren't just believing that Ed Orgeron's gonna find the next guy?
Nope. I don't know.
Orgeron.
God, I love him, dude. How
can you not?
I can't remember the last time I had a man crush this strong on anyone that wasn't involved with like CU football.
Yeah.
There's like Mel Tucker and now Edo.
Yep.
He is so awesome.
He is.
So we got a hot take from Dags. He says, much love, RK and Zach. And he said, hot take, when all is said and done, Drew Lock will have a better NFL career than Trevor Lawrence.
Look at him teasing us right into our first segment conversation. Zach, you wanted to ask, so go ahead.
I did. Ryan, you've gone on the record saying how you'd rather have Drew Lock than Trevor Lawrence. After last night, I can understand why. But the other guy we haven't talked about, Joe Burrow. 6 touchdowns, over 500 yards accounted for, over 50 through the air, or on the ground, over 450 through the air. Just an unstoppable force. Do you still want to have Drew Lock over Trevor Lawrence?
You mean over Joe Burrow?
No, over Trevor
Lawrence.
Oh,
yes,
Do you still
of
want
course.
That? What about this other guy?
Yep. Still take Drew Lock.
Drew Lock.
Yep.
Wow.
Drew Lock has done it in the pros. There are no guarantees. Do you know how many guys have looked amazing in college and not done it in the pros?
Yeah.
Now, do I think Joe Burrow's probably going to be a good pro? Yes. But I mean, a bird in the hand is better than 2 in the bush.
Mm-hmm.
And you got one in the hand.
So you'd rather have Drew Lock than Trevor Lawrence and Joe Burrow?
Well, not if I got like a package deal of both of them, because then there's a better chance of one of them working out. But yeah, easily for me. I'm taking the proven player. I'm taking the guy who has done it in the NFL. Now, does he have places to go? Yes. But he has a stronger arm than Joe Burrow. Burrow's probably a little more fleet of foot, but not by that much.
Right.
And again, he's proven it in the NFL. So I know that players respond to him in the locker room in the NFL. Again, another big change. I know that, he has all the work ethic that is necessary to succeed at the NFL. And I'm not saying that I think that Burrow won't do any of these things, but I'm like, when I think about Drew Lock, I'm like, what box doesn't he check? And I never come to one. I can't find one. I don't know what box he doesn't check.
I have no idea why he fell to the second round.
Right. So if you go back and redraft right now, I think that Drew Lock is the second quarterback taken off the board this year. And I think he's a high first-round draft pick. So for me, again, maybe this will come back and look bad on me, but I am going to take the guy who has done it in the NFL level. He's won 4 out of the 5 games he started. That's 80%. Math guy. And I don't have any knocks on him. I can't find knocks.
Yeah, and I can't either. Ryan, you know that no one was higher on Drew Lock than me. I said I would have not just drafted at 10 last year, I would have traded up to go get him. But we're talking about the unanimous number 1 overall pick with Joe Burrow this year. And it's not a knock on Drew Lock to say that I would take Joe Burrow over him. In fact, let's throw Joe Burrow, what he just did in last year's draft class with Drew Lock. It probably, in my book, it would have gone Joe Burrow, Drew Lock, Kyler Murray. So I agree. He would have been my second quarterback taken as well. Just Joe Burrow is the guy that.
So
takes
you're
the
going
leap
back to
above him.
last year's draft
Right,
and inserting Joe Burrow
Right, with
all
he's
what we
done
know
right
about.
now. Exactly.
Are
you
the
love
Cardinals still picking first?
No. This is just like my book.
Okay,
My
this
book
is your
of
board.
Yep, exactly.
Zach's big board. Everyone's waiting with what's the word? Waiting with bated.
Salivating?
I don't know. Maybe someone can chime in.
Bated anticipation?
Something like, someone can tell us. I don't know. Help us out here. Yeah, maybe I'm crazy for this, but I'm still taking Drew. And here's the thing. I think the commenter said he's going to have a better career than Trevor Lawrence. Was that what it was?
Better NFL career than Trevor Lawrence, and he already said nailed it, RK, with his Shurmur offense. With a Shurmur offense, Lock will be in the mix for MVP next year.
So I was actually thinking about this yesterday, and I wrote about it right after the season. I said all these guys have had MVP-like campaigns in their second year as a starter. Each and every one of them is because an offense was designed for them, right? And they just flourished.
Yep.
I wonder what the odds are on Drew Lock for MVP next year.
You can get some really good odds.
Really good one.
Yep.
Really good one. I'm
Bated
not saying it's
breath.
Huh?
Bated breath.
Bated breath. Yes, waiting with bated
You got like
breath.
10
Guess
people
that
who
one.
responded. So say thank you to the
You
audience.
guys rule.
You're the best.
I was about to say bated lips, and I was like, that sounds weird.
Yeah, it sounds very weird.
But yeah, it might be something that, I wouldn't say it's a bad bet to sprinkle $10 on Drew Lock for MVP next
And
year.
I bet the odds are even worse because of kind of what we talked about yesterday. That there's the expectation that it's going to be 2 steps back for not just Drew Lock, but for the whole offense because there's a new offense here. But Ryan, it's not out of the possibility that it's actually 10 steps forward kind of right away because Drew Lock says, thank you. You're giving me a quarterback-friendly system, and you're going to call quarterback-friendly plays? Yes. Well, I will take that big step instead of stepping back. Now, would I be surprised if they took a step back? Absolutely not. But with Shurmur, it wouldn't be a shock if it just took off right away.
This isn't the greatest example, but you know who else has had 5 coordinators in 5 years?
Who?
The Tennessee Titans.
Really?
And they hit on one. They got the right quarterback in there for his system, and then they just went, So while it looks bad, and I don't really think there's any real defending it.
No, it's bad.
It's bad, but if you land on one and it actually works, well, then it doesn't look bad anymore,
Right.
It only looks bad until it doesn't look bad.
I mean, it's just like the conversation with John Elway. If Drew Lock turns out to be the guy we think he can be, people 10 years down the line, 15 years down the line, are going to, even the haters of John Elway, are going to say, man, what a great GM. He got Peyton Manning here, 2 Super Bowls appearances with Peyton, made one of the best defenses of all time, won a Super Bowl.
One of the best offenses of all time, or the best offense
both.
of all time.
Yes, exactly. And then got Drew Lock, and look, the Broncos have been to, 3 Super Bowls under him. They're going to forget about Case Keenum, Paxton Lynch, Brock Osweiler, Joe Flacco. All of that's going to be gone. Once you get and land on one offensive coordinator or a quarterback, everything else is forgotten.
It's true. It's true.
We got to land on one.
Yes, you do. You got to hit. You eventually have to hit, and maybe the Broncos have in 2 different facets here. I want to correct myself because I said a couple things yesterday that, upon further reflection, and I think one of them we actually talked about later in the podcast, but I was really wrong. I can admit when I was wrong. I mentioned we were talking about the 4 best players on offense. Drew Lock, Phillip Lindsay, Cortland Sutton, Noah Fant. And I said 3 of those guys are really happy about this. Noah Fant, maybe not as happy. That's not true. Noah Fant's probably the most happy, maybe. Right. And the more we talked about this, the more we started to realize it. Noah Fant's not going to be asked to block nearly as much. Noah Fant is going to be used more as a wide receiver. Literally, they're probably going to line him up as the wide receiver a lot more. And he's going to get a lot more matchup. Pat Shurmur loves to take a tight end and give him great matchups. Right. We're talking about Kyle Rudolph has had his best seasons with him. Engram was on his pace to have his best season with him. Zach Ertz had his best seasons with him. So Shurmur knows how to use a tight end. That's good news.
Yeah, and the Evan Engram was viewed so differently by some people coming out of the draft because some were like, well, he's a tight end, but he's only half a tight end. He's only receiving tight end. And they knocked him because he wasn't big enough. He wasn't able to block because he wasn't strong enough. And other people just viewed him as, you can call him a tight end, but he's a receiver. And for those people, Evan Engram is fantastic. And that's, why would you not treat Noah Fant like that? Why would you not just say, we're going to continue to have you learn to block. We'll have you work with Mike Munchak occasionally, but not just because last year when we talked about Noah Fant, we said don't let his lack of blocking keep him off the field. Why not? Why don't we just have that mindset for the foreseeable future? I mean, for his career, because we were saying he's going to learn blocking. It's going to take him a year or 2. Why not just say, you're going to be a dangerous receiver?
I have no disagreements with that. That's exactly what they should have done from the start. I get wanting to make him a more well-rounded player. And again, kind of like what I mentioned with Drew Lock yesterday, he's probably better off for the long run because of going through what he went through this season. But I wonder if he's thinking man, I just studied for a test that we don't even have to take.
Right.
Right. That probably there's a little bit of that feeling in the back of his head. You were that guy. You were the guy who showed up to the test so prepared. And then the teacher was like, guess what, guys? No test. And you're like, what do you mean no test? I spent 8 hours studying for this last night. I was the guy who was like, yes. I was watching the national championship until 10:30 last night, and then I just went to bed.
All right, we got some Periscope questions. We got, how much flack do you guys put into the rumors that Shurmur loved Locke in the draft? And then Fant could be the new Gronk in playing the power spread. And
one at a time.
Zach's looking like a snack today.
Is that good, Ryan? Can you
That is a nice shirt.
Little flannel?
Okay, first one. How much flack do you guys give into the rumors that Shurmur loved Locke in the draft?
Do they mean stock? How much stock do you
Right, yeah. How much Joe Flacco do you give into that?
I don't know. I hope that was true. Right. I also hope that it wasn't true that he really wanted Daniel Jones.
Right, and that's exactly it. Yes, he may have loved Drew Lock, but in the end, and Dave Gettleman has made it very clear when they drafted him and after the season, after they moved on from him, in terms of giving him credit for Daniel Jones really seems like it was Pat Shurmur's guy. And he really liked him. He didn't just sign off on him.
Why does he like mediocre quarterbacks so much?
And Dave Gettleman actually gave credit to Pat Shurmur for, quote-unquote, finding and identifying Daniel Jones. So, yes, I think it's great that there's reports out there that Pat Shurmur really liked Drew Lock. I mean, it's easy to say now that you really liked him after you saw him go 4-1. And he has, like we said, what could you look at Drew Lock and say you don't like? Whether it's coming out of college or whether it's his 5 games that he's been in the NFL. So, yeah, it's great that he likes Drew Lock, but he didn't draft him. He had an opportunity to draft him at 5.
I honestly do not understand how it is possible to have been in Mobile and ended up come away from that liking Daniel Jones more than Drew Lock. I don't know how it's possible.
Yep.
And remember, this is not me being biased
No.
because now Drew Lock was 4-1 as a starter for the Denver Broncos. No, we sat there on the podcast, and I can dig up the clips if you really want to call me on this.
1 year ago.
1 year ago, and said, Daniel Jones kind of sucks, and Drew Lock is a boss.
Yep.
And I question your eyes if you came away from that saying, like, we got to get Daniel Jones ASAP.
Yeah. And they wanted Daniel Jones so bad they weren't willing to wait to pick 17 with the chance of losing him.
I just hope that Shurmur. We're never gonna know the real. There's only one chance of us ever knowing the real story, and it involves a bit of luck in a Central American state.
Yeah. I'm picking up what you're putting down.
So hopefully one day we get the true story, but. We might never know because, of course, when we talk to him, he's going to say he loved Drew Lock, and that's a huge reason why this job was attracted to him. And they might trade Drew Lock tomorrow, and and he has no recourse on that.
Yep.
So we'll never really know.
Yeah, exactly. And Ryan, you had something else to clear the air about.
Yes, one other thing I said, and I'm very happy to be wrong about this one, is that Laviska Shenault wouldn't be as good of a fit in this offense as he would have been in Scangarella's offense. And then I also said, like, if he doesn't fit in your offense, you're an idiot. But this offense really values yards after the catch. And Laviska Shenault is the king of yards after the catch when it comes to this draft class, or maybe ever. If you watch his film, all you'll see is yards after the catch. And yards after contact, too. Like, that's just what he does.
Yep.
And so this offense, it would make a lot of sense. It wouldn't be the normal, I guess, thing that they've done in terms of that position, but they really like getting guys underneath, getting them open, and letting them run.
He would be almost, correct me if I'm wrong, but like the third receiver. He would be kind of the role of the third receiver, although he'd be the second receiver in terms of, Courtland Sutton would be outside all the time. Laviska wouldn't, even though he'd be the second guy, he'd be all over the field. He'd be inside, he'd be in the backfield. He would be outside sometimes, but he wouldn't be that traditional second wide receiver just on the outside.
I think he'd be a little bit of everything.
Yeah.
And that's the thing. It's like if you draft Laviska Shenault and you're a wide receiver needy team who needs a wide receiver 1, and you're just like, you're going to run X routes all day, and that's just who you are now. That's like putting Lamar Jackson under center.
Right.
It's just, it doesn't make sense. Can he succeed? Sure. But you're being dumb.
Right.
Like, if you're going to invest that much into Laviska Shenault, let him be Laviska Shenault. And you are going to have to throw a little bit of caution to win in terms of the injuries. You're going to have to use him in short yardage situations from a wildcat position. Like, if you're not doing that, then why did you invest in this guy? He literally said that's his favorite play. His favorite play to run. It's not like he was like, oh, yeah, when I was in college, they forced me to run. No, that's what he wants to do.
Right.
So
he wants the yards after.
He just wants to blow people up.
Yeah.
Like, have you seen the highlight of what he did to that dude in the Stanford game to seal that game? Like, that was fun for him.
Yeah.
He took an end around, came around the corner. It was 4th and 1. This is towards the end of the game. And the dude met him at the line of scrimmage, and he blasted him 3 weeks into the past and got the first down. That's fun for him. He likes doing that.
Yeah,
so.
and additionally, with this offense, all the pre-snap motion that goes on, it's kind of like a Sean McVay offense where literally there's someone going every single play back and forth. And Laviska, if you send Courtland Sutton across every time, you probably know what he's going to do. He's probably going to end up on the outside and just run a route. With Laviska, you don't know. And it keeps the defense on their toes.
Yeah, oh man, the pop pass.
Yep.
All that stuff.
Yep.
really dangerous. So those were two things that I wanted to clear up. As you know, it wasn't an instant reaction, but we hadn't had time to really, really know exactly what Pat Shurmur was going to do. And if you want to know exactly what Pat Shurmur is going to do, then go on to the DNVR.com right now and read Andre's film room. It is splendid.
With that, we have a comment that someone made saying Andre's film room on Shurmur was on point. What do you guys think?
Oh, it was incredible.
Perfect.
Yeah. I mean, it's so funny. So and I don't mean to toot our own horn here too much, but when the Broncos hired Pat Shurmur, I instantly Googled Pat Shurmur offense. I wanted to read a film room about it.
Right.
It just didn't exist, like I wanted to see examples of plays that he likes, and so I could have come on the podcast yesterday and talk. Though that didn't exist.
Right.
It wasn't in the air. It didn't happen.
Nope.
No one does things the way that we do.
And now from this film room, not only do you see tons of clips of exactly what this offense is going to look like from Pat Shurmur, but you also get a breakdown of where it comes from, what you're going to see. Andre's the king of these.
Okay, well, I have other points that I want to make, but we have so many comments today that I think we should get into those as quick as possible. And if I don't, I'll get to it.
Let me just add a few comments, not questions, comments from people who are saying, I don't know how you could come back from Mobile liking anyone else after Drew's sideline interview. Fant could be the new Gronk and playing the power spread. And then Nacho Brad chimed in with, home with the flu. This is like hanging out with friends, but not good friends that would bring Brex. And Kale said, I am also home with the flu, guys.
Oh, man.
It's just a sick time in Colorado.
I have never seen it happen like this. Like, I've heard, there's something going around, I've never seen, everyone I know get sick at some point during a sick season.
Yeah.
This one's brutal.
So anyone who's feeling sick, get better soon?
Yes.
Yes, definitely.
Absolutely. Thanks for riding with us when you're home.
Yeah, especially because this makes sense. This is a perfect thing for when you're sick at home. Because what good TV is on at 10:15 a.m.?
None.
Yeah.
No. Do you have the Wheel of Fortune? No, that's at night. What am I thinking? The one that you pull.
Oh, Price is Right.
Price is Right. Yep.
I mean, that's actually good TV. So I don't know what you're trying to slander it for. Before we go too far, though, shout out to Breckenridge Brewery, the best, the absolute best. Going to have some celebratory Breck brews after this podcast just to celebrate that we finished the podcast. And also, I have the Denver Sports Podcast. So if you're stick at home, you got yourself a little marathon here going today.
Yes, you do. The best Tuesday
Probably
afternoon.
4 hours of podcasts that you can tune into live. So shout out to Breck Brew.
Is TDSP going to be 2 hours, or
Probably.
is this podcast going to be 3 hours?
You never know. Although the people coming in for TDSP probably won't be stoked if we run 3 hours. And then?
You know where you can get Breck brews, Ryan?
Where, Zach?
Davidson's, and it's locally owned and operated with over 1,000 varieties of beer, including Breckenridge Brewery. They have wines from around the world, fine single malts, and rare whiskeys. Download their app today and use the promo code FIRST10, that's FIRST10, to receive 10% off your purchase of $25 or more. This offer ends at the end of this month, so make sure you get in quick. They have 2 convenient locations in Centennial and Highlands Ranch, or you can get your purchase conveniently delivered right to you. Remember, that code is FIRST, FIRST10, 10, to receive 10% off your first order of $25 or more. All right, Ryan, let's listen. Let's talk to the listeners.
All right. First one here comes in from Antonio Acosta. He says, I understand the practices are limited, but can Shurmur work with Locke to better understand the scheme he will be implementing? Not really.
Nope.
Not really.
No.
He can send him a playbook.
Yep.
They can exchange texts. I assume they can talk on the phone. That sort of thing. They can't get out on the field.
Right, and that's why it was a bigger deal that Drew Lock was going to talk with Peyton Manning this offseason, because there's no restrictions on that.
Personally, how much do you believe that this is enforced?
I think if a player complains, like if a coach is saying, all right, let's meet all of this week in the middle of February, then that coach is going to get in trouble because the player is going to say, I want some time off.
Yeah, I assume it's sort of like dead periods in college recruiting, which is the coaches can't call the players, but the players can call the coaches. Drew Lock tells Pat Shurmur, hey, let's go and meet me at the practice bubble or the practice facility. It's not a bubble anymore. And let's go over some of this stuff. I'm pretty sure that they can do that.
Yeah, they probably do it at a park somewhere off site.
Ooh, like some park that's like in Castle Pines behind closed gates.
Yeah, exactly.
Like this is where I imagine Peyton Manning and Brandon Stokely were like running around.
Literally what was going on,
Yeah.
what was going through my mind. I agree.
So technically, you're not allowed to. I would love. I guess there's only one place in the world we could find out if that actually happened. It's in the middle of America. I would hope to find out some way or another that happened.
Yeah. Next one from Minnesota, Paul. Hey, fellas, the offensive coordinator move was a shock to me, as I'm sure it was to many. I'll keep it short. I hope Fant continues to get heavy usage in this new system. I become a big fan of his. Also, you mentioned Shurmur runs a lot more shotgun and 3 wide receiver sets. Does this change our offseason priorities? Does that wide receiver 2 become the absolute uncontested number 1 need this offseason? Thanks for your takes.
Yeah, we talked about this yesterday. I think it does. And there's so many options. T. Higgins looked great in flashes last night. He's looked great over his career. He dominated Alabama last year in the championship game, right? Don't you remember?
Watch what you say.
And then there's just so many options. I understand the thought of if I'm saying, oh, there's so many options, and why don't you just wait till the second to get a guy? I hate that philosophy. Just get the best guy you can.
Man, especially with this offense, you have to get a second wide receiver. You may go wide receiver in the first and third.
Remember, like Mike McCoy's going 3 wide, and like Benny Fowler is your third. Like you can't live like that.
As a Broncos fan, hearing the 3 wide over what you've seen the past 5 years has to make you think, oh no, not this game. But if it's executed right and you have the right players, then you're going to forget about how bad 3 wide looked. But it's because of, the execution, the quarterback, the talent at receiver that they didn't have when they were running this. It was bad.
This offense, and people aren't going to like the way this sounds, and Andre mentioned this in his film room, this offense is kind of reliant on wide receivers getting themselves open, winning one-on-one matchups.
Right.
As much as you want them to, like Tim Patrick and Deshaun Hamilton aren't going to be able to do that on a consistent basis. You got to have someone that makes one of those guys' lives easy. Deshaun Hamilton can beat the third option for another team. Second option, I don't think so.
No, you need a guy like Jerry Jeudy or Henry Ruggs, where Jeudy, his routes
always
are
open.
Phenomenal.
Yeah.
And Henry Ruggs, he has the talent and the speed just to get open. So you need someone there, and you need him at 15.
Absolutely. Moving on here to Broncology. Here's a thought. Maybe Scangarello, despite getting along with Locke, isn't sold on him. Maybe Fangio and LA are. Maybe Skangs wanted a free agent quarterback brought in, and Fangio doesn't. Maybe they moved on from Skangs because they want a guy like Shurmur who loved Locke as a prospect and can maximize his potential. I can tell you I know for a fact that that's not true. But Skangs did love Drew Lock.
Wasn't there some pushback from someone in the organization about the timing to play Drew Lock last year?
Yes.
And wouldn't it make sense that it could have been Skangs?
Yes. But that doesn't mean he doesn't love Drew Lock.
Sure, but maybe, and I don't know if that would be the reason, because I don't think that was the reason that Vic moved on from him. But maybe that was just frustration that Vic had throughout the season and then especially the last 5 games and seeing what he did and just being frustrated with the way that went. Not the reason they fired him, but just some frustration.
Yeah, it is like sending that text to that girl, right? If you were waiting for the perfect moment, it's never going to come.
Right.
You just got to send it.
Yep.
It may be 10 a.m., but take a drink, everyone who's playing the DNVR Broncos podcast drinking game.
There it is.
Yes, that was a relationship.
Or
reference.
actually, we've got a few people from Europe chiming in, and it's nighttime for them.
It's
So
probably 5 o'clock.
Yeah, maybe.
Man,
you could tell me it's 1 a.m. You could tell me it's the same time, and I would probably be like, really? Wow, that's crazy. Must be something with like around the.
What if we played the drinking game on this podcast sometime this offseason?
It sounds fun to me.
Dangerous.
If the Broncos get a 4th away preseason game this year,
oh, yep.
We're drinking for it.
Yep. I love that.
I'm making an executive decision.
I look forward to it. Next one coming in. Did we finish that one?
No, he goes on and says, kudos to Elway for hiring a guy that is somewhat outside of the offensive scheme he generally likes to run. This screams to me hiring a guy Fangio wanted. Excited about the possibilities here.
I have been told this was Fangio's guy. Fangio really liked him.
But I also saw people online being like, wow, Fangio overpowered Elway for this situation. It's like, no. Like, what? You can't strong-arm someone who has more power than you.
No.
All that happened is Fangio made a really convincing case, and Elway trusted him.
Exactly. Next one from Dan Burke. Looking into some Shermer offenses. It seems like he doesn't require a pure burner in the same way that Shanahan does, but he tends to like guys who can create yards by themselves and pick up significant yards after the catch. Now, Ruggs is a capable yards after the catch threat, but in my mind, this means that LaVisca and CeeDee Lamb's stock is skyrocketing for the Broncos, and someone like Brandon Ayuk could be someone that appears on their radar now. On the subject of wide receivers, given his familiarity with Shermer, if Stefon Diggs becomes available via trade, and it definitely seems like this may be the case, would y'all trade for him, and what would y'all give up for him if yes?
I think it's Brandon Ayuk.
Ayuk?
I'm a big fan of his. He was on my Pac-12 fantasy team this year. He racked him up. He was awesome. But he actually is a really... He's kind of like a poor man's Laviska Shenault.
Okay.
Like, if you're going second round for that type of player, he's your guy.
Can you get him in the second round?
I think so. Like,
okay.
There's so many wide receivers. I don't think like 9 wide receivers are going in the first round. Like,
I wouldn't think so.
That would be crazy. But maybe everyone is thinking of situations like this where you might be able to trade for Stefon Diggs. Although why would they be trading Stefon Diggs?
I think there was a lot of tension behind the scenes with Diggs and the organization.
Well, let me tell you this. If you take good weapons away from Kirk Cousins, you're not going to have a fun time.
Would you trade your 15th overall pick for Diggs?
No.
I wouldn't either. Would you trade your second rounder?
No. What, isn't he making like 15?
Probably, yeah.
It's a lot of money.
It is.
He's really good, though. So
I may do second round, but no way. I'm getting a young guy.
That's what I mean. Like, you don't need to give assets to the wide receiver position this year.
Right.
I've got some breaking news that will make you very happy, Ryan Koenigsberg. You're already being tagged in this post. Noah Fant just tweeted, the fact that I'm actually getting invested into The Bachelor is rocking my world.
Oh, my gosh. I thought he was going to say, like, the fact that they're investing the offense around me.
I know. That's what I started reading first. I was like, wait, what is this? And you're being tagged in the replies.
That's hilarious. My guy, Noah Fant.
This is quite a time for him. I mean, he's getting involved in The Bachelor and just got a new offense.
And big shout out to Bronco Tiz on Twitter, who last night tagged me and said, at Mace, please come back to the podcast. Tell Ryan that no guys care about The Bachelor.
Not true.
Guess Noah Fant's not a guy. Maybe they need to do an investigation. Anyways, shout out Noah Fant. Way to get on the right train. Turns out that most guys who have significant others end up seeing The Bachelor one way or another.
If you watch it, you don't even have to have an open mind about it, but if you watch it, you're going to be interested.
How could you not be?
Yeah.
That's what I like always. It is entertaining.
It sucks you in.
It's so entertaining.
Yeah.
No, I agree. I mean, even if you don't care and you're just listening, like, or on your phone while your significant other is watching it, you're just like, oh, wait, what did Luke P just do? Wait, what's going on? And then you just slowly but surely get invested. You may say you hate it, but it's really good trash TV.
I have a unique perspective on this because I used to be one of you, guy listening right now, who's like, The Bachelor is dumb. But I was just resisting it for no reason. And you're doing the same thing. Once you accept it, your life will be a much happier place.
Life is easier when you just don't watch it at all. But once you watch one episode, you're hooked for that season.
And sports, especially football, are slowly coming to an end here. You're going to need something to look forward to.
Every Monday night now replaces Monday Night Football.
Exactly. Okay.
Where were we? Dan Burke?
No, Dan.
Mr.
Yeah, so
Freeze?
Dan Burke had talked about yak receivers, which
Right.
we had talked about earlier.
Right.
Mr. Freeze just dropped by to say that I'm stoked about the offensive coordinator change. It got really tired this season seeing them try tricky plays without setting them up first. P.S. I hope we've seen the last of tight end sweep plays. P.P.S. My Lock jersey supposedly gets delivered tomorrow after visiting more states than I've been to. Thanks, FedEx. I was going to say instead of PPS, you should have said UPS.
Next one coming in from Mike DeCiccio, right?
No.
It's not Italian?
It is Mike DeCicco,
Oh.
I think.
Mike DeCiccio. I
Mm,
like
no,
that.
you're adding letters that aren't there. And he's probably listening right now because he's a live listener.
Well, Italian, I think of food. And he chimes in on food. My worst food option that kind of worked. In college, I was making Kraft mac and cheese, name brand, and all I had was strawberry quick. It
It's
worked. I don't know how or why, but it worked. Strawberry Kraft mac and cheese. Don't sleep on it. So quick.
I think he's saying strawberry milk.
Oh, boy.
Yeah.
To mix it in.
Right.
I have a few weird things. Oh, yep. Mark's chiming in right now on Twitter saying
Mike.
yeah. I love Asiago bagels. You got to get them double toasted. And you put
From where?
Anywhere. But
How do you know that everywhere is double toasted is the same?
because everywhere is single toasted is like maybe warmed up.
So when I go to Panera, what they consider a toasted bagel someone should file criminal
Is
charges.
it warmed
against them.
up?
Barely.
Yes, that's
The
the
center
problem with
is still
everyone.
cold.
Yes.
So when I go in, I literally say, can I get a cinnamon crunch bagel, extra toast? They literally have to put it through 5 times before it finally has some crunch to it.
And then it has just a little golden brown on top.
Yeah, I'm like, come on. Do you know what toasted means?
That's what I've always said. I didn't order my bagel warmed up.
I know.
I ordered it toasted.
If I wanted to put it in the microwave, I would have.
Right. So you do that, and then you do strawberry cream cheese on one side and jalapeno on the other side. And it's so good.
Strawberry Asiago. So I'm hearkening to like a little cheese platter. You've got a cracker, sliced strawberries, and some cheese. That would be good.
Right. Yeah. And it is good. I'm surprised that typically you lean with the way my girlfriend sees things, and she thinks it's like the weirdest, grossest thing ever. So I appreciate you having my back.
Sometimes you just have to envision things in a different scenario to see if they would be good.
So I'm willing to try, the sweet and savory, the cheese and strawberry, but this cheese and strawberry is too much.
So for me, here's the thing. I've always said, right, I'll try anything. But I should clarify, I'm not going out of my way to make this crazy stuff you guys are talking about. Like, if you present me with a bowl of strawberry Kraft mac and cheese, I will take a bite. I will give it a chance.
Sure.
I'm not going to spend time creating that.
What color is it? Is the mac and cheese itself
What
pink?
happens if you mix like orange and pink?
Oh,
I don't know.
I don't.
Mace would know this.
Yeah, he's like, oh, that's name some color that
Wouldn't
we've
it
never
just
heard
be an orange pink?
Would it be like corally?
of. We're getting, I don't know.
Like blue and red make green, right?
Someone Google this.
No, probably not.
I'm going to Google it.
You're gonna Google orange and
What
Or you could just have the
happens
listeners
if
figure it out for you
mix
again.
Orange and pink.
It's gonna be so obvious.
I would say coral.
Yeah, coral. Kind of just in between.
I already said that earlier. You just ignored me.
What color?
I didn't hear you, Allie. I never ignore you. How did just a picture of the color not pop up?
Ryan's really
Wow, yeah, we're getting
digging in,
scientific
doing
here.
some
They're saying
research.
If you take 1 part pink, 1 part orange.
We really didn't.
I think it's coral. I
Get
think
an
Allie's
answer.
right. I think we don't even need Google.
The listeners also said there's a few
Oh.
people from Europe.
Oh, no.
It's 17:30. What's the 5:30 in
There we
the
go.
UK.
Track 12.
5 o'clock somewhere.
So this is what I'm getting here. This is kind of a.
It's kind of an ugly pink.
People
Yeah.
are saying blood orange or brown.
Right. Blood orange.
Brown.
Blood
It would
orange.
definitely not be brown.
Blood
See,
orange
I'm
would be
thinking
dark.
like
Eric,
light
you're
orange
wrong.
and light
Yeah,
pink. Because you
that's
got to
what
think
I'm
we're talking
thinking,
about pink milk
Yep.
and the color of mac and cheese.
Yep.
So light orange, light pink.
Yeah. I
Oh.
hope it's not the color of that hair.
Pink peach is something coming up here,
Which one's that?
over here, or here.
Okay. Yeah, it doesn't look like something I want to eat.
Yeah,
Not something I want to put in my mouth.
I'd say we can move on. Next one's from Count Locula. He said, I need some explanation on the relevance of the Senior Bowl. Why would what you see in one game dramatically change what you think of a guy in opposition to having watched a whole college career. Seems a bit like it would either conform or disprove what you already know. Thoughts? Love the count.
Well, it's a fantastic question because count. You know what people don't stay for at the Senior Bowl? What scouts don't stay for? The game.
The literal Senior Bowl.
Yes. So it's really interesting. So what you take away from the Senior Bowl is what, 3 or 4 practices?
3.
How they interact with their teammates, talking to teammates, how they interact with the media, talking to the coaches that work with them all week. That's what you take away. The game doesn't matter.
Think of it like this. For John Elway to see how Drew Lock looks in a practice, he's going to have to go to Missouri in the middle of the week to watch a practice and get an up-close from the sidelines view of Drew Lock. In a one-off scenario, that is sustainable. But there's never a chance to see guys against NFL talent practice for 3 days straight. That's what makes this special, is you are getting an up-close view of as close as you can see to what it's going to look like for these guys in the pros right there. They're being coached by pro coaching staffs. They're going up against mostly guys who are going to be in the pros next year. It's high-level competition. It's a practice scenario. You can talk with them. You can talk with the coaches. You can talk with their teammates. Like you said, you can watch how they interact with the media. It's almost like a little mini NFL boot camp for 3 days.
Right. Exactly.
And so that's why it's more important. The game really doesn't matter.
No, and last year, didn't Josh Allen, or 2 years ago, didn't Josh Allen tear up the game and he wasn't good during the week of practices?
Yes.
I think he did really well in the game.
And yet somehow Vance Joseph's team still got blown out.
Oh, gosh.
I'm not kidding. When I was in Mexico during the game. Remember, I went straight from Alabama to Mexico.
Yep.
And I saw the score. It was something like, I don't know, 43-18.
Yep.
And I was like, oh, man, this is actually a huge red flag.
Yeah, we joked about it during the week, like, oh, you got Josh Allen, you got, or did they?
They had Josh Allen, Baker Mayfield. They even had the third best quarterback.
Yeah, and we were joking, like, man, could you imagine if John Elway, if the Broncos lose this game so bad and John Elway fires Vance over this?
Well, Vance's whole thing was I don't have a quarterback during the season. You know, it's like he had Paxton Lynch and Trevor Siemian, which I gave him a break for.
Right.
Then he had the 2 best quarterbacks by far, and he got sauced on by Kyle Lauletta.
Yep.
That was a problem.
Ballin' Nick Cass chiming in says, I love the decision to move away from Skangs. Most of us have been saying the same thing all year. This offense was tough and unnecessarily complex. We paired that with a first-time offensive coordinator, and the results were terrible. Even if you look at just the Lock games, Denver still struggled on offense despite the wins. Take away the Texans game, and Lock threw for over 200 yards just once. The KC game, and we all know how that game turned out. Skang's offense was good enough to grab you an early lead, but his inability to make adjustments was a huge reason why we lost more than just a few games. I'm excited to bring a new offensive coordinator who has a history of getting great results from quarterbacks. His work with Bradford, Foles, Keenum is very promising. I understand the hesitancy about changing systems, but this is about the future. Sutton, Lindsey, Fant, Reisner, and Locke will be able to fit this offense just fine, and those are our core players. There was no chance that we could beat KC with Skang's offense or with Skangs calling the plays. We are more likely to be closer to league average or better in points per game under Shermer, and that will make us a team to watch out for in 2020. Thanks for all your guys' hard work. Go Broncos.
Okay, so I want to talk about these quarterbacks. Because yesterday, again, we hadn't done the full research, and I was like, who's the best quarterback? And I just figured I was missing someone. And the funny thing is I was doing the research, and I was crafting a tweet, and, you know, you're going back and forth between his Wikipedia page, and then you're looking at stats, and then literally as I'm finishing, Anna, our friend from Brazil,
Yes.
tweeted at me that she had tweeted at Mike Kliss all of the quarterbacks he's had as a coordinator. You ready for this list?
Yep.
2009 in St. Louis, Mark Bulger.
Nope.
2010 in St. Louis, Sam Bradford as a rookie.
Nope. What, the highest paid Sam Bradford?
Yep. 2011 in Cleveland, Colt McCoy as a rookie.
Nope.
2012 in Cleveland, Brandon Whedon as a rookie, though he was like 47.
Yeah, nope.
2013 in Philly, he started the season with Michael Vick. She didn't have that here. And then ended up with Nick Foles. Michael Vick was 2-4 as a starter. You were getting, you know, post-jail Michael Vick. he wasn't the same.
Right.
So then you got Nick Foles. That was the 27 touchdowns, 2 interceptions as a second-year player that really was just threw everyone for a loop.
Right. That'll do.
Still, Nick Foles.
Right.
2014.
You're Nick Foles. What are you talking about?
He's not my.
You love Nick.
I just perfectly predicted that he was going to win Super Bowl MVP the day that Carson Wentz got injured.
Nick is great. Nick Foles is wonderful. He deserves every fan from Philadelphia's love. But
Good
I'm
guy.
glad he went and got paid somewhere else because Carson Wentz was their starting quarterback.
Yep.
Good guy. Would not want him as the quarterback of my team.
I would agree.
2014, Philadelphia. Nick Foles, he fell off, and then Mark Sanchez.
No.
2015, Philadelphia. Sam Bradford again.
No.
2017, Minnesota. Case Keenum.
No.
2018, the Giants. A 38-year-old Eli Manning.
No.
2019, the Giants. A 39-year-old Eli Manning and a rookie Daniel Jones.
Daniel Jones, wait and see.
Do you realize how bad this list, like the fact that he's even still employed in the NFL after getting this type of quarterback luck that he's had to work with is a miracle.
Right.
Like, I've never been more convinced that Pat Shurmur is a genius than after I looked at this list and thought, people still talk about this guy as if he's good.
Right.
And these are the quarterbacks he's worked with.
So let me throw it the opposite way, though. What if he's been instrumental in bringing these guys in? What if he says, these are my guys. These are who I want. And this is his talent evaluation. I mean, kind of like with what you said about Daniel Jones. What?
As a starter?
Yeah.
Toss me off a building. I'm fine with any name on this list coming in as the backup quarterback for the Broncos. I should revise. I wouldn't want Eli. I really wouldn't.
I would. I don't think he'll. I think he's a starter somewhere. He's done, and I don't think he's a starter.
Just
somewhere.
retire.
I think that's
but
what.
I don't want him as a backup. There'll be idiots in this town calling for him every second. Case Keenum, don't want him back. No one likes him.
No.
No one likes him.
No. He doesn't like people. When he walks down the hall, he doesn't say hi to his running backs.
I honestly think if they brought back Case Keenum, the entire locker room would like collectively roll their eyes out of their head. Sam Bradford, hey, if he's still around, I'm down.
At
no.
$20 million.
No, he's made his money. He's coming in on a hometown
discount. $20 million wherever he goes.
He's not making $20 million.
You know, Sam. You don't want Sam Bradford
as
on
a
your
backup.
team.
Yes, I do.
No.
Yes.
Yeah.
$20 million.
Nick Foles not coming in as a backup. No. Mark Sanchez still has to serve a suspension. Yeah. I'm pretty sure. Okay, actually, this is a very short list of people I'd be okay with. Brandon Whedon.
No.
Hope he's still alive. Colt McCoy. I'm down.
Yeah.
Sam Bradford again. Mark Bolger.
He retired 20 years ago.
He was like 40 when this happened. Okay, so it's really only 2 people I would be down with, Sam Bradford and Colt McCoy.
So you want Sam Bradford and Colt McCoy as your starters in Denver over Drew Lock. Did I hear that right?
Incorrect.
Oh, okay.
I am fine with either of them as the backup. I think Colt McCoy is the one that makes the most sense.
Yeah, he does. Because you got Case Keenum out there in Washington.
And Colt McCoy.
Right.
This is like they're
and Haskins. So they're going to have to move on from one. Or no, Case Keenum's deal's done because he was only a 2-year deal with the Broncos.
Oh, God,
Case Keenum's a free agent.
Please,
He's a free agent.
Please, no. Please, no.
I don't think John would do that.
I don't think so either. I mean, all of the feedback. Literally, guys are just tossing him under the bus haphazardly.
Yeah.
Right.
No, I don't think it'll happen. All right, next one from Count Locula is an open-faced sandwich. A sandwich. Love the count.
Yeah.
Because when you see it, you know it.
Yeah, it's in the sandwich family.
I think it says it in the name.
Why does anyone eat an open-faced sandwich? That's what I want to know.
Oh, I like open-faced sandwiches.
Why?
Yeah, because it takes you twice as long to eat. If it's a good sandwich, I'm not doing this with ham on white bread. It's got to be a delicious one.
Give me an example of an open-faced sandwich that is better without the top.
Oh my goodness.
Isn't a bagel with cream cheese and lox always open-faced?
Yes.
Yep.
Yeah,
that's a good example.
Is that an open-faced sandwich?
Why wouldn't it be?
I would never say I'm gonna go get a sandwich.
See,
and
that's
have
another
it be
thing.
Lox. I would say I'm getting a Lox bagel.
Yes, that's another thing that I've always come back to on
that's a good one.
the hot dog debate. If someone says like, "Hey, do you want me to pick up some sandwiches?" You're like, "Yeah," and they come back with hot dogs. You're like, "What the hell is this?"
I'd be happy about it.
Did you
I'd be
see
fine with it.
the recent debate of is chili soup then?
What is it? Seems like, to me, chili's chili.
Yes, things can be their own thing.
Yeah.
This is a problem with our society. Everyone's trying to put something in a box, from humans to foods.
Yep.
Things can be their own thing.
Okay.
And chili is its own thing.
So, this is a mix of a chili and a sandwich, pretty much. What about sloppy joes?
Open faced? Is that what you're asking?
Kind
Or
of.
is a sloppy Joe a sandwich?
Is it chili? Is it soup? What is it?
It's a sandwich.
Okay, so it's
essentially a chili sandwich.
Did you ever eat it open faced?
Only if you made the Joe.
Yeah.
Or is it the slop? Only if you made the slop too sloppy.
The slop. Are we pigs?
Yes.
Literally.
You're eating a sloppy Joe. You kind of are.
Slop.
I'm very confused that you just called sloppy Joe a sandwich or a soup.
Well,
You were like,
that's
is it a
you-
soup?
If you mess up the slop and it's a little too soupy, you're probably gonna have to eat it with a fork.
The slop. Yeah. So, but ideally you eat it closed.
Why did we never call Joe Flacco Sloppy Joe?
Oh my God. To Vic.
I just mean when he's out there just slopping around.
Oh yeah. He really embraced that. That would have been a good nickname.
Yeah, I'm
Could
sure he
have
would
called
have
it
loved.
Manwich.
All right, from Carpaccio, Chris. People love Mike Hawk. You know why? Because that's Tony Hawk's brother, and Tony's a skateboarding champ and a man of the people. The Broncos' recent moves at offensive coordinator can be compared to the following situation. Get your drinks ready. You're in high school and you settle for a girl you like less than another because the other still has a boyfriend. But in a dramatic turn of events, the other girl and her boyfriend break up. So then you break up with your current girlfriend and swoop the other girl you liked more all along. I would just have to say that's messed up to the first girl.
It would be. Yeah. Wouldn't it?
Like, you shouldn't settle in the first place. Just be single until the other person maybe sabotage their relationship.
Don't have
bit.
a significant other just to have a significant other.
Yes.
Right. Yes. Be comfortable with yourself.
Yeah, and then steal the guy's phone, send some weird text messages to other girls, make sure she sees it, so then they break up, and then you can swoop in. It's totally normal behavior.
It sounds like you're an expert on this.
No.
Next one from Oh no, we just got that one. From
Oh my God.
Hugh G. Rection. That one you do need to be very careful.
Why did we do this? We've started we've created an epidemic.
All right, huge erection coming in.
Oh God.
From Hugh G.
Hugh G. You guys had me so stressed for a second there. The big news is the Broncos moving forward with Brandon Staley. Then RK starts to co-sign for a bit, and in my head I'm like, what do you mean? How have you not heard about Skangs and Shermer? I need y'all to talk about this so I know when to feel good about it. Well done, gentlemen. You got me.
We got him.
And he got us.
How incredible would that be if some big Broncos news broke and we just didn't know? And we had a whole podcast where we just didn't address it.
It's really funny when news breaks and people are tagging us on Twitter and stuff like, hey, just want to make sure you see this.
Yeah, we appreciate the thought behind it.
Yeah, of course.
But there is a 0% chance
No.
we didn't see it.
It'd be really funny, though, if we did a whole podcast yesterday and didn't talk about this.
Yes.
He goes on. So me and my friends were talking yesterday about movies that have made us cry, as men often do. And I was wondering if it's pretty easy or difficult for movies to make y'all cry. And what are some movies that have made you cry? For me, I can count them on one hand. Radio, Interstellar, Out of the Furnace, and of course, I Am Sam. Because you don't have a soul if that movie doesn't make you cry. But some of my friends had hilarious answers, like 13 Going on 30. That made me go, at which part?
I don't remember that movie well enough. Okay, here's the thing. I can cry at anything.
Okay.
One time I cried at a Vine. It only took 7 seconds.
Like a funny Vine because it was so funny?
No, it was
Wow.
just the music. Whenever you bring in the music, that's when you really start literally plucking at my heartstrings.
So am I even a friend? I don't think I've ever made